I recently finished the Bioshock trilogy. 2 years ago I played Bioshock 1, last year I played Bioshock 2, and the beginning of this year I played through Bioshock Infinite. Now, Infinite is one of those games that I remember seeing when it was first announced. I can't remember if it was back in 2012, and I don't even remember where I first saw it. Maybe it was at E3 or something. Regardless, I remember seeing the epic floating city, the scenery, the graphics, Elizabeth. I remember seeing all of this, and I remember people talking about it when it first came out, but I never jumped into it. I had only played Bioshock 1 at the time, and I only played the intro, maybe an hour of the game, because I think it was just the demo that my cousin and I had happened to play through, and we thought it was a horror game, which in the beginning it kind of feels like one. Regardless, I never played Bioshock Infinite, and I didn't really know much about it, other than there was like massive spoilers for the story that I didn't want to get spoiled on, because the story apparently was really good. So Bioshock Infinite, it was developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K, released in 2013. Bioshock Infinite has sold 11 million copies. Once again, when I throw out these numbers, I try to find a few different sources and kind of average out what they're saying, and the ones I found was around 11 million copies, so take that for what it's worth. But I do like to throw out these numbers so you kind of have a rough idea of how popular these games are or not popular. So Bioshock Infinite killed it, 11 million copies. It is a very cool game. It's got a very epic scenery. It's set in like the late 1800s, early 1900s kind of like vibe. But it had some inspirations, which includes one of my favorite books of all time. But one of the inspirations was The Devil in the White City. So just a quick tangent on that. It's a really good book. It's about the serial killer H.H. Holmes, and it's also about the World's Fair that happened in Chicago in, I believe it was 1890. Maybe it was more closer to that. Anyway, it follows H.H. Holmes, but then it also follows the World's Fair in Chicago, which is why it's called The White City. So it's a really good book. If you haven't read it, I would recommend it. But yes, so Bioshock Infinite was inspired by that, and then it was also inspired by The Music Man, the film, which I recently saw the play of The Music Man, which was my first time. It was actually pretty good. It was a high school play that was put on, but anyway, I thought it was very funny and also like cool that I really like Bioshock Infinite, spoiler, and it was inspired by two other things that one I super really like and the other one I found enjoyable, which is the Music Man film. I saw the play. Regardless, Bioshock Infinite, it is a full-blown shooter. You get lots of guns that you can mess around with. You can only hold 2 guns, but you have tons of guns that you can use. You have a machine gun, you've got a pistol, you've got a rocket launcher, you've got rifles, and there's just lots of cool weapons to mess around with. Like I said, you can only hold 2, but super fun. You can actually upgrade your weapons, which is kind of cool. I was kind of against it in the beginning because I'm like, well, why would I upgrade a weapon when I'm just going to throw it on the ground when it runs out of bullets and pick up something else? Well, you're going to find that same weapon a lot throughout the game, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I enjoy upgrading and would suggest that you do upgrade because your shotgun can hold more shells, or it reloads faster, or it, same with your machine gun and your pistol and everything else. So yeah, upgrade them. It's not that big of a deal. You're going to drop the gun, but you're going to find it again. But the shooting's really fun. Like Bioshock Bioshock, the first one, the shooting was fine. The game felt pretty jank to me. Bioshock 2 was like a more action-packed shooting game, and I really enjoyed the shooting. This one's a full-blown shooter, and it feels really good. The sound effects I really enjoy. Once again, just shooting in general, the combat is really, really fun in this game. You've got different abilities. You've got a force push, and you got a launch, which were 2 of my favorites, so the abilities make a return. And it feels like Bioshock. It's, if you've played the first 2 games, you play Infinite, you feel right at home. It just feels so much better than the other 2. You can upgrade your character, you can upgrade your weapons. We've got audio logs again as a way of telling the story. I still, even the third time around, I don't know if audio logs are my favorite way to portray information. But once again, it's like the audio logs aren't crazy important. It's just to help you build. It's a little more world building and character development of different characters and whatnot. So you don't have to get them, but every time I'd pick them up, I'd press play and listen to them, regardless if I was going to be in a fight or not. So yeah, I don't know. I don't love audio logs, but it's also kind of cool that you can stay immersed into the game without like a cutscene interrupting you or whatever. But I don't know. I still think I prefer cutscenes over most different ways to do world building and storytelling. Environmental storytelling is really good, and you get a lot of that in this game too. So when you first jump in, it's very culty. You're up in the city, the floating city in the sky, and it's very culty. There's lots of these religious people talking about their leader or their god, and it's very eerie in the beginning. But the world is super cool. I love the floating sky city. I love going from like different buildings and blimps and floating things. Like the intro is super cool, and it just allows you to kind of walk through this world at your own pace and take it all in and see all the different contraptions and ships and architecture and technology that they have at this time. So it's really cool that we're getting these. I don't know, it's like a futuristic take on like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's really cool. I'm so down for that. I love the aesthetic. I love the feel. I love the art style and the level design of this game. Like, all of it is so good. I love the colors. I love looking out at the sky and just breathtaking. So, like, this game, the presentation is incredible. The combat and gameplay is really, really fun. I love the fighting. I love the shooting. And the last part of the game is the story. It's really weird and leaves you asking questions all the time throughout the entirety of it. And it's honestly what really kept me going and wanting more. Like, after you've kind of got your feel of the combat, you're like, okay, yeah, I've killed 1,000 guys the same way, and I will continue to kill 1,000 guys this same way, but I mean, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. I love the architecture. I love taking all of that in. That's really fun. But the story is what kept changing. It left me asking more questions, and then you grow attached to Elizabeth and you learn more about her, and then at the very end you get the pretty cool twist, which I'm not going to talk about at all, other than I'm just going to say it literally is in front of your face from when you look at the game and open it and pull the CD out and put it in your Xbox or whatever you're playing it on. So, but anyway, it was really good. I enjoy Bioshock Infinite. If I had to rank them, I think that number one probably has the best, maybe the best twist. I don't know. Like Infinite has a really good twist. I think number one, I think I like Rapture the best. So let's do this. Number one, Rapture has the kind of the coolest, like Bioshock 1, when you think of a game that the world itself is like a character, if not the most important and memorable part of the game, that is Rapture. That's Bioshock 1. Bioshock 2, I would just say, wasn't as clunky as Bioshock 1, and I enjoyed the shooting and the combat. I almost enjoyed playing Bioshock 2 better than 1, but I think 1 might have the better world design and storytelling. But Bioshock Infinite, I feel like, is good at both of those, and probably is why it's my favorite. It's got really cool level design, and the city, the floating city, is epic, super dope. But it also has a really intriguing story too. So I think Bioshock Infinite's probably my favorite. If I had to rank them, I would probably go 2, 1, 3. And 3 being my favorite. I don't know. Because when I played Bioshock 2, I probably even said it in my review that I liked Bioshock 2 better than 1. I just felt like 1 it just felt old. It felt dated. But like I said, Rapture and the story was really good. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on Bioshock Infinite. Let me know what you guys think, if you've played the game and you like it, or if you hate it. I personally liked it. I think I would give the game maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. Like, I enjoyed it that much. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I finally finished the Bioshock series. I've been a gamer my whole life, and just now, 12 years after the last game was released, I finally finished them. So anyway, that's it. That's Bioshock Infinite. Let me know your guys' thoughts on it down below. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything else, or you want to critique me, go for it. Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep it rad.